I'm Michael Rice, a cybersecurity specialist with Cisco, and I'm excited to share with you a high-level overview of Cisco's security architecture portfolio. One of the biggest challenges companies have in securing their infrastructure is having too many vendors with too many interfaces that don't integrate that leave gaps in coverage and visibility. Cisco's strategy is to bring you an integrated architecture that provides you with the best tools, technology, solutions, and intelligence. We provide you with a strong security posture. Now, the reason that a strong security posture is important is because it allows you to respond to threats and not react. When you respond, it means that you are prepared for whatever type of event. When you react, the outcome usually is not as effective. Since 2013, Cisco has made security their number one priority, and we have invested over $7.5 billion in strategic acquisitions. We have brought in companies such as SourceFire that brought us AMP, Firepower, and Snort. ThreatGrid is our dynamic sandboxing application. LandCope gives us network visibility, and we rebranded that as StealthWatch. OpenDNS provides that DNS protection, and we renamed that Umbrella. Duo is our two-factor authentication solution, and others are CloudLock and Observable Networks and a few others. But not only have we made these acquisitions, we have synchronized, synthesized, and integrated these solutions to work together. We've done the hard work and heavy lifting for you. By providing the tools, technology, solutions, and intelligence, we give you a strong security posture that protects your network before, during, and after any type of network security event. Today, I will address 5 areas that make up a strong security posture. Number 1 is visibility. We've all heard it before. If you can't see it, you can't defend against it, and that's 100% accurate. Number 2 is contextual awareness. It's so important to be aware where the threats are coming from. Is it an insider threat, possibly a vendor, or fileless malware, ransomware, zero-day, polymorphic, or other threats out in the wild? 3, control. We give you the power to block and quarantine threats through automated policy and the ability to hunt down and remediate threats in your environment very quickly. 4 is integration. If your tools and solutions don't integrate and communicate effectively, it leaves you with gaps in coverage and visibility, and your shield of protection is not very strong. A good analogy that I like to use here is that I speak Spanish and Portuguese, but if I hear French or Italian, I might be able to pick up a word or two, but I can't understand that complete sentence. So hypothetically, if the firewall tells me the endpoint in French that he just missed a 0-day and it's coming my way and I need to block and quarantine it, I won't be able to understand that conversation or act on that information. So that's why it's critical that your solutions integrate and that they speak the same language. 5 is intelligence. If your solutions and appliances don't have the latest intel, then they aren't going to be able to block the latest threat in the wild. So it's super critical that you have the latest intelligence. Now, I put intelligence last, not because it is the least important, but because it is the most important and the foundation of a strong security posture. So looking at this illustration, you can see that all the other areas sit on top of intelligence, which is the foundation. And if that foundation is not strong, then the other areas are not going to execute as they should. Now, when we think of intelligence and we think of Cisco, we think of Talos. Talos is the largest non-governmental security organization in the world. We have over 300 plus security engineers that 24/7, 365, they are scouring the internet looking for vulnerabilities and hunting down the latest threats. We also have over 5,000 personnel working in security to provide the latest innovations and upgrades in appliances, solutions, and prevention and detection engines. We see over 100 terabytes of data daily. That is more than all 5 of our closest competitors combined. We block over 20 billion threats daily. We analyze over 1.5 million malware samples and monitor over 16 billion web requests per day. In 2018, Talos eliminated over 360 new vulnerabilities before zero-day attacks could be weaponized. We have a team that exclusively hunts down malware, And we've been doing this for such a long time that we have a really good understanding of where the bad actors are, their mode of operation, and we have effectively been able to cut some of these organizations off so that they cannot continue their malicious campaigns. But truly, the difference maker is our ability to update our solutions real time and sharing intel with our community partners. So if we discover a threat in China and block that, we have the ability to quickly push out that data to the entire Cisco infrastructure so that they will have that latest intel and be protected against that threat. Talos also offers an incident response service. We have a world-class IR team with a lot of experience. And some of the services that we offer are emergency services. So in case of a breach, Talos will be available within hours to triage, coordinate, investigate, contain, remediate, and help with breach communications. We also have incident response readiness assessments, strategy and planning exercises, tabletop exercises, proactive threat hunting, compromise assessment, and we also offer specialized technical training workshops to help your security staff build and get that experience necessary to combat modern cyber threats. We also have insights on demand through full or half-day remote consultations with Talos experts to address top-of-mind security concerns, recommendations, and intelligence sharing to improve your overall security posture. So Talos truly is a world-class organization that provides you with the latest intel on threats and services that will keep your organization safe and secure. Now, we know that the internet is not just one giant cloud. There are many offerings, many clouds, and more users are accessing cloud applications. You have your IaaS offerings, infrastructure as a service. That would be your AWS's, Azure's, and Google Clouds of the world. There are also SaaS offerings. That would be your Office 365, Salesforce.com, Box, and others. And so when your data resides in these applications, it's critical that you have protections to ensure that data is safe. For your workload protection, we have a solution called Tetration. And Tetration provides a holistic workload protection for multi-cloud data centers by enabling a zero trust model using segmentation. Some of the features are software inventory and vulnerability detection, process behavior analysis and baselining, application segmentation, communication control using whitelisting. So Tetration is ideal for your cloud workloads and also for your on-prem deployments to maximize the efficiency of those workloads and at the same time provide you the security that you demand. For those SaaS applications, you need to have in place a CASB, Cloud Access Security Broker. Cisco offers CloudLock, and CloudLock protects your cloud users, data, and apps. And so what we do is we actually API into those applications to secure data, ensure that there's no data exfiltration or data leakage, and that the connections are safe and secure. Currently, we support Salesforce.com, Office 365, Google, Dropbox, Box, Slack, WebEx Teams, and ServiceNow. We also have an option for a solution called Cloud App Discovery, and that will give you greater visibility into shadow IT. Now, when we come to the campus network, we know that that first layer of connection to the internet is on the DNS level. There are some exceptions where the IP connection is first, but a majority of the time it will be on the DNS layer. So it's really critical that you have some type of DNS protection in place because 91% of the attacks begin on that DNS layer. And so Cisco offers Umbrella, and Umbrella has a 100% uptime since its inception in 2006. We effectively block a majority of the threats before they actually hit your network, so that really helps you to be way ahead of the game if you can eliminate those threats before it actually hits your campus network. We leverage the data from Talos to block malware. We also block C2 callbacks. So when ransomware delivers its payload, it has to call back to get an encryption key to be able to lock down your files and your systems. And we block that callback so that they cannot get that encryption key. And of course, we block access to malicious sites. We have identified over 7 million bad or malicious sites, and so we are continuously blocking access to those. And so because we already know that they are malicious, we do not have to proxy any requests to those sites. We use a selective proxy, and that helps our actual solution to be very efficient and very fast. So not only are we reliable with that 100% uptime since our inception, but we have a very fast recursive DNS service. A new offering is called SIG, Secure Internet Gateway. Our solution is called SIG, Secure Internet Gateway. And so we didn't get too creative when we branded our solution, but we do provide a couple of additional security solutions on that DNS layer. We provide you with a cloud next generation firewall and a full proxy. And our full proxy gives you access to the complete addresses of those websites that you can store and use for future reference, or you can push it out to a SIM or a SOC. We have 3 connection options for a full proxy: IPsec, PACFile, or proxy chaining. For your mobile users, it's critical that they have the ability to safely connect to the corporate network when they are off-site. A VPN service, virtual private network, provides that safe connection back to that corporate site. Cisco offers AnyConnect as our solution to provide that safe and secure tunnel. Now, we know that not 100% of the users are going to be on the VPN 100% of the time. And in fact, 82 to 85% of the users admit that they do not use the VPN 100% of the time. So the dilemma is, what do you do when your users are surfing the web, but they're not on the corporate VPN? Cisco has the ability to bundle in our umbrella solution with our AnyConnect client to provide your users with that off VPN protection. So when they are not on the VPN, Umbrella will automatically kick in and provide that DNS protection for your mobile users. In addition to that, you should have a next generation endpoint solution on those mobile users' devices. We have AMP, Advanced Malware Protection, and I'll speak more to that when we get to the campus network. But also you want to have a 2-factor authentication solution on the endpoint, and we offer Duo. And again, I'll speak more to that when we get to the campus environment. Now, when we look at your branch offices, a typical setup for the branch offices has you backhauling your traffic through MPLS connections with SLAs, and then pushing it out to the internet, and then coming back from the internet to the campus and to the branch office. And so that's a safe connection and very efficient, but it also creates a couple of challenges. Number one, the high cost of MPLS connections with SLAs, but also not as efficient would be increased latency by backhauling that traffic, to the campus, to the internet, and then vice versa, back from the internet to the campus, to the branch. So because of that, a lot of companies are looking at a solution called direct internet access, where their branches will go directly to the internet. The challenge here is that security is always top of mind, and so with our umbrella solution and our secure internet gateway providing that protection that you need when you are doing the direct internet access model, it's a marriage, perfect marriage to provide that security for those branch offices. And so with that direct internet access, we're going to be able to reduce the cost of the MPLS connections because you're going to normally use an ISP, which charges quite significantly less than an MPLS connection would with SLAs. But also you're going to reduce the latency issue because you're going directly to the internet. The solution for direct internet access is called SD-WAN, Software Defined Wide Area Network. And Cisco has a couple of offerings. One is Viptela for a traditional Cisco infrastructure, and the other is Meraki for a Meraki-based infrastructure. And so we can do a little bit deeper dive to determine, which of those two solutions make sense for your environment. Now, when we get to the campus network, we want to make sure that we have a next generation firewall on the perimeter. Cisco has three options: our ASA 5500 series, Firepower 1100, 2100, and 4100 series, and our Meraki MX. On each of these, we can deploy different security licenses. We can deploy our IPS intrusion prevention system backed by Snort, URL filtering for web traffic, and AMP for network, where we have the ability to do file inspection on the firewall level. So when a file hits the firewall, we push it up to our AMP cloud for that initial inspection. We'll do a global file reputation lookup to determine whether it is known good, known bad, or unknown. If it is good, we're going to, of course, allow it to execute, but we're going to put a surveillance on that, because later on, if it's moved or copied and begins to show malicious tendencies, we have the ability to quickly see that and remediate that malicious file, because we're doing a retrospective analysis every 15 minutes. And because of that and our other detection engines, our time to detection on average is about 3 to 4 hours, where the industry average is 100 to 170 days. So it's critical that you have the ability to do that retrospective analysis, because sometimes those files do change disposition. If it is known bad, of course, we're going to block it and quarantine it and get it out of the environment. And then if it's unknown, and the majority of the files will be unknown, we're going to push it up to our sandboxing solution called Threat Grid. And in Threat Grid, we're going to do a couple of analyses. We're going to do a static analysis where we're going to actually detonate the file, look at the headers, try to determine what it is and what it contains. But we're also going to look at the behavior to see if the behavior is malicious. So if a file begins to hoard data and then suddenly exfiltrates a terabyte of data to a website in Russia at 2 o'clock in the morning, that might be malicious behavior. And so we have over 1,600 behavioral indicators to help us to determine whether or not that file's behavior is malicious. And so once we do that analysis, we come up with the threat score over 95 on a scale to 100. We deem that malicious, send that metadata back to the AMP cloud for the final conviction. And we will push that data out to all of our other solutions within the Cisco architecture. Now, when I started with Cisco over 4.5 years ago, we only had about 400 behavior indicators. Today we have over 1,600 plus. And so it talks about basically two things. Number one is the pervasiveness of malware, and also Cisco's commitment to stay ahead of the game by providing you additional behavior indicators on new strains of malware. And so we want to make sure that you have the latest behavior indicators to keep your environment safe and secure. Going back to the campus network, it's really important and critical to have a strong email security solution in place. We have our email security appliance with the AMP license as an option to provide you with what we call an AMP everywhere strategy that gives you a strong shield of protection that integrates with our other solutions and speaks the same language. And the reason that it's important to have a strong email security is because email is the #1 vector that hackers use to get into the environment with phishing and spoofing campaigns. They play on our human emotions in crafting emails to get us to click on those malicious emails. And 48% of breaches are caused by employees clicking on malicious URLs or opening up bad attachments. And so that's really why it's really important to have that strong email security solution. In addition to the AMP license, we offer a reputation filtering, anti-spam, antivirus, gray mail detection, outbreak filters, and real-time URL analysis as part of the email solution. We also have a cloud-based email solution, cloud email security, also with the option for the AMP license. In addition to email, we also want to have a strong web proxy. And the reason is because we don't want our users to have direct access to websites because they may be malicious. And so when a user requests to access a website, he'll send that request to the web proxy. That session will terminate. The web proxy will reach out to that website and determine if it is a good site or malicious. If it's malicious, then it will send a block page to the user explaining why they cannot have access to that. So that protects your user from having access to a possible malicious website. And so that's why it's critical to have a web proxy in place. We offer our web security appliance, again, with the AMP license to continue that AMP everywhere security strategy. Also critical is important to have a next generation endpoint in place. We offer AMP, Advanced Malware Protection, and AMP, we have the ability to put a connector on your desktops, your servers, both bare metal and VMs, and your mobile laptops and phones as well. We protect Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, and iOS operating systems. It is a SaaS, so we do that heavy lifting in the cloud and have the ability to push out updates and new threats that we find throughout the entire Cisco infrastructure. It's a lightweight connector and doesn't use a ton of RAM on your endpoint, and so that's critical also. But the main differentiator between AMP and other vendors is that we have over 15 plus prevention and detection engines that are looking for all different types of threats, from fileless malware, ransomware, polymorphic zero-day, and other threats. And as I mentioned, we have an average time to detection of 3 to 4 hours, where the industry average is 100 to 170 days. This is a list of our detection engines, so it's a nice visual that you can see, the engines that we do utilize. The one thing that I'll mention here, because I'm not going to go through each one, is that we incorporate within the AMP license a couple of AVs that will give you the ability to meet your PCI and HIPAA compliances. And so a lot of our customers are consolidating their endpoint security solution because Tetra for Windows and ClamAV for Mac is part of the AMP license. Also, I mentioned that it's really important to have an AMP connector on your data center servers, be it a bare metal or VM. And the reason is because your data center is kind of the crown jewels of your network infrastructure. That's where you keep your important and sensitive customer information, your intellectual property, your apps that your DevOps team is creating. And so you want to make sure that you are protecting that data, keeping it safe and secure. Now, we don't want to allow just anyone to access the network, and so it's critical to have network access control security solutions in place. Cisco has a couple of those solutions. One is called ICE, Identity Services Engine, and ICE asks a few questions. It will ask who, what, when, and where. So if it's your CIO that's trying to log on, we know who it is, and we know what they are trying to log on, and we know that they're probably trying to log on during business hours, and more than likely they're in the office. So we will allow him or her to go ahead and access the corporate network. But if a guest comes into the lobby, we don't know who that is. We don't know what they're trying to connect. We do know that it's during business hours, but we don't know, and we do know that they're in the lobby. So we're not going to allow them to access the corporate network, but we will allow them to access the guest Wi-Fi. And so ICE acts as a somewhat of an enforcer to allow those who should be on the network on, and those who should not give them access to the network. But in addition to that, let's say, for instance, that AMP surfaces the threat on an endpoint. We have the ability to send notification to ICE, and then ICE, as the enforcer, has the ability to push that user to a VLAN to make sure that that user does not have the ability to infect other systems throughout the environment. until that system has been scrubbed and can be placed back onto the corporate network. In addition to ICE, another network access control solution we have is Duo. It is our two-factor authentication security solution. And today it's really critical to have that in place because unfortunately hackers are not hacking. They are logging on because of all the massive security breaches that we've had and the stolen credentials. A scary fact is that 25% of the stolen credentials are still active, so the user has not gone back in to change their login or their password. And so because of that, a lot of times hackers are able to log on. So what Duo does as a second factor, it sends a notification to your mobile device if you are trying to log on to the network, and it will give you the option to click on a green check or a red X. If it's you that's trying to log on to the network, you click the green check, and if it's not you, you click on the red X, and that person who's trying to get onto the network will be denied. And so that's why it's critical to have a two-factor authentication security solution in place. Also critical today is the need to have network visibility because there are so many threats lurking in the environment. It's critical to have that visibility of all conversations and data transmissions within your environment. One of our network visibility tools is called StealthWatch. And StealthWatch, using our NetFlow technology that Cisco innovated, gives us the ability to do deep packet inspections to see what's happening within your environment. And so what we do is we deploy StealthWatch for 36 days. We build a baseline of network behavior, and once we have that baseline established, if we see any anomalies against that behavior, we have the ability to alert the network team that they can take action, but we also have the ability to integrate with ICE through PXGrid, and ICE can act as an enforcer to enforce policy automatically when they receive an alert from StealthWatch. So let's for example, myself, I usually come into the office around 9. I will access a few of the SaaS applications, Office 365, and Salesforce and a few others, and I'll stay normally to 5 or 6, and then I'll go home. But if StealthWatch sees me all of a sudden logging on at 3 in the morning, beginning to hoard data, and then all of a sudden pushing out that data to a website in the Middle East, that is not normal behavior. So StealthWatch will send an alarm to ICE. ICE will automatically push me to a VLAN, make sure my system is off network and safe and secure so it cannot affect any of the other systems, and will stay there until my system has been scrubbed and cleaned and can be put back onto the network. So really critical to have a network visibility tool in place. In addition to StealthWatch, we have a cloud-based option, StealthWatch Cloud, and it provides automatic threat detection, security alerts on malicious activity, visibility across the cloud, and easy management and scalability. So we can deploy either StealthWatch on-prem or cloud, or do a hybrid of the two. Another important encrypted or network visibility tool is encrypted traffic analytics. And today, about 70% of the traffic is encrypted, so hackers know that, and so more and more they're using encrypted traffic to get into the environment because they know it's very difficult to see. And so for the administrator to decrypt and inspect the traffic, it is very time consuming, slows down the traffic flow, and there are some privacy issues that you have to be aware of. And so with encrypted traffic analytics, we have innovated through Cisco the ability to see into those traffic flows, encrypted traffic flows, without decrypting. And so what we have discovered with our innovations is that there is a difference between good files and malicious files in the size of the file and also in the delivery times. And so having that visibility, we can determine whether that file is malicious or not, and then we have the ability to uh, grab that file, get it quarantined, and then out of your environment. And so that's a huge, huge innovation that gives us the ability to see into encrypted traffic and determine the state of that file without decrypting the traffic itself. Now, in order to activate encrypted traffic analytics, you do need to have StealthWatch in place and also our Catalyst 9K switches to deploy encrypted traffic analytics. The last network visibility tool that I'll talk about today is CTA, Cognitive Threat Analytics. And what Cognitive Threat Analytics does, it gives you the visibility into traffic flows from devices that we cannot put an AMP connector on, such as thermostats or printers or IoT devices. So CTA is part of the AMP license. There's no additional cost for that, but you do need to have a web proxy in place in order to activate Cognitive Threat Analytics to get that visibility. So with that visibility, you're able to see into those traffic flows, identify malicious content, quarantine that malicious file, and get it out of your environment. We do have a very robust infrastructure, and kind of rounding out the security infrastructure are our Nexus 9K, Catalyst 9K, Meraki switches, and AeroNet and Meraki access points. And so you can see here that Cisco has, over the last 6 years, put together an incredible architecture that brings you a strong security posture that will protect your network before, during, and after any type of network security event. One of the questions you may be asking is, yeah, this is great, this is fantastic. I see how it can provide additional protections within my environment. But one question you may have is, how am I going to manage all of these solutions? We have innovated a user interface called Cisco Threat Response. And with Cisco Threat Response, we have actually brought in the telemetry of our security solutions, including AMP, Threat Grid, Umbrella, Email, Firepower, and a third-party solution called VirusTotal. So we have brought the data and telemetry of these solutions into the user interface Cisco Threat Response to give you an incredible visibility into your environment and into your network. So how it works is, let's say that your CIO comes in on a Monday after a long weekend, and he saw on his Twitter feed that there was a variant of the latest variant of the WannaCry threat, or it could be Olympic Destroyer or whatever threat it might be, and he asks you, "Hey, are we protected against this latest variant of WannaCry?" So all you have to do is walk over to your laptop, open up your Cisco Threat Response dashboard, grab some IOCs from your favorite security blog, whether it's Talos or any other security blog, put those IOCs into the dashboard, click on your mouse, and in a matter of minutes, you have in complete visibility in seeing whether or not that threat is in your environment. But not only you can see whether it's there, you also have the power in a couple of clicks to be able to quarantine and remediate that threat from your environment. So it provides you incredible visibility, but also the power to remediate that threat. And so it reduces the time for threat hunting from weeks and months down to minutes and hours. And so a critical component for a strong security posture is to have that visibility, but also have the power to be able to remediate those threats. So as we look at, again, these solutions and what they can do to provide a very strong and robust security posture, you may be asking yourself, yeah, this is great, but how am I going to possibly consume all of these in a cost-effective manner? And our customers have been asking us for different buying programs, and so we've been able to put together an enterprise agreement, and our enterprise agreement provides incredible cost savings because we're bundling these solutions together. And then we lock in those savings for 3 to 5 years, depending on the enterprise agreement that you choose. We also have the ability to provide 0% financing and payment options on a monthly or annual basis. We can also co-term your licenses, and this is huge because, let's say you have Cisco renewals in place and your firewalls might expire in June, your endpoint solution may expire in May of next year, so you have to create two separate budgets. You have to worry about the different expiration dates and managing that process. But being able to co-term your renewals and also any new solutions together will provide greater efficiencies in managing your licensing and make budgeting quite a bit easier for you for your security solutions. We also provide a license management portal that allows you to manage your licenses. So on that initial license, you can go into your portal and order those licenses once we have the enterprise agreement set up. So let's say that your organization needs 1,000 licenses. You have the ability to go into your license management portal and to order those licenses and get those deployed. And so that gives you, without actually having to reach out to your vendor or to Cisco, and so that gives you the ability to manage efficiently your licenses. But let's say that you are growing exponentially and a year or so down the road, you need an additional 200 licenses. We have built into the enterprise agreement a 20% growth allowance on our choice enterprise agreement. So that is tremendous cost savings that you don't have to worry about any additional investment as your organization grows. And so let's say that you continue to grow and the following year you need an additional 100 licenses. We have what's called a true forward. Even though you have gone over that 20% allowance on the growth for that enterprise agreement, we allow what's called a true forward. So it gives you the ability to order those licenses when you need it, but you don't have to begin to pay for that investment until the anniversary date of your enterprise agreement. So let's say that your enterprise agreement anniversary date is in January. You need to order those licenses in June. You go ahead and order those licenses, deploy them, start to use them. You don't have to begin to pay for them until January. So we really have thought of everything that you need. One last thing that I'll mention here on the enterprise agreement is that we have been offering enterprise agreement for a few years. 2 years ago, we were able to execute 700 enterprise agreements. Last year, we exploded to over 3,000. So that's over a 400% growth. And the reason is just because our customers see the value in an enterprise agreement, but also the time savings. And so it gives them the ability to manage their license in a very efficient way and a very cost-effective way. So again, it's really something that we have been able to provide for our customers, and they have found it a very effective way to manage their licenses. So we've really thought of everything, here. We provide you the strong security posture with these solutions. We give you the visibility with Cisco Threat Response. We provide you with enterprise agreements to be able to manage your licenses in a cost-effective and efficient way. And the one last thing that I'll speak about here is that Allianz, which is one of the largest insurers in the world, they have validated our solutions. They have run the numbers and have done the statistical modeling, as all insurance companies do, and they have concluded that if you have Cisco umbrella security solution, cloud email, and AMP for endpoints within your environment, the likelihood of you suffering a major breach is significantly reduced. And because of this, Allianz will provide you with an enhanced policy with significant protections built in place, like hardware damage sublimit, CISO severance reimbursement, extortion retention reduction of business interruption wait period. And so if you do need cyber insurance, Allianz can provide you this enhanced policy if you have those 3 security solutions in place. So again, as I mentioned, we've really done our homework. We've really worked hard and made these strategic acquisitions, brought them in, synchronized them, synthesized them, and integrated them so that they work together, that they speak the same language, to provide you with a strong shield of protection. And my recommendation would be to look at our base security package of Umbrella, Cloud Email Security, and AMP to start. but we can also run the numbers to see if an enterprise agreement makes sense for you and your organization. But also I would offer that we can spin up a trial or a proof of the concept on these security solutions so that you can get a hands-on experience with these security solutions and see how they're going to actually provide you additional protection within your environment before you actually make that investment. So I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate you taking the time to review my overview of Cisco Security Architecture Portfolio. Look forward to speaking with you. And if you need to reach me, you can reach me through email at mrice2@cisco.com.